G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Gatling Pistol. This is a standalone NIF bash / kit bashed weapon, which takes the form mainly of a laser pistol, although it is actually chambered in pistol cartridges, various pistol cartridges. We'll get to that a little bit later, but this thing still shares the same reload animation as a laser gun, which means you'll be replacing this magazine and the fusion cell at the same time, which is fine by me, because you could argue that this fusion cell is actually powering the motors to get these rotary barrels working, which I believe the same mechanics for the laser gun automatic barrel have been applied here. So they do spin, but they're a little less noticeable because they're not wide sort of rectangular shapes going around in circles there, but they go, and we'll try to point that out as we get into combat. Not that we'll be able to see it while shooting anyway, but it's some cool attention to detail. Let's get into the attachments. First of all, we've got the receivers. Now, this is how you change what this thing is chambered in. All of these will give you better damage as you upgrade them at the cost of a gun nut rank 3 and 4 respectively for the 10mm and 45 receiver versions of the receivers. Now, this one will give us 78 damage, which is too good to pass up, but at the cost of recoil, I think we'll be just fine for what we've got here. Next up, we've got the barrels, and you can increase your DPS by a significant amount by utilizing the accelerated barrel, which will increase your fire rate at the cost of a little bit of range. Since we're firing 45s anyway, I feel like the recoil is going to be getting a little bit on top of us anyway. So we're going to throw on the accelerated barrels here, and we'll go on with that. So that'll also decrease our accuracy by a significant amount as well, which is, we're going to have to be nice and close to get this to work, but I think it'll be worth our while in the terms of how much damage it can do. And you've got the standard grips from your laser guns, which clip through the magazine a little bit, but don't worry about that. A sharpshooter's grip will give you better recoil and hip fire accuracy, so we'll throw that one on. We'll gain a little bit of accuracy out of it, or at least on the weapon card, and we'll move on from that. And you can throw on a variety of magazines, including quick ejector variants like a drum, a large one, or a small one. We'll go for a big drum magazine here. It will require a longer reload, but the amount of ammunition we can store on this thing will make it worthwhile. That appears to be a Thompson, or at least the Fallout 4 version of the Thompson submachine gun drum magazine there. What have we got here? This is, I think, is that like a reshaped assault rifle magazine? I feel like that's aesthetically more pleasing than this big drum magazine, but ammo capacity is king when it comes to rotary barrel weapons, so we'll leave that one on. Got iron sights right now. We can have improved versions, which I don't know if that actually changes anything at all in terms of its model, but, you know, it's a place for you to aim your thing in the middle of the screen. Your character will know exactly where the bullets are going. There's nothing to line it up on the back of this rifle to indicate we're actually aiming, but don't you worry, Alan knows where we're shooting. There's also options for reflex sights, including this one, which is from a Gatling laser, which gives you a very big sight picture. And this one a little bit more constrictive on where you're actually shooting. But I'll go for this one because I actually quite like the Gatling laser reflex sight, and I think it suits pretty well here. Got a legendary effect provided by legendary modification. We'll skip that one. And we'll go over to the secondary receivers. You can increase this thing's damage even further. This appears to be lifted straight from the 44 Magnum thing. So with the advanced receiver now, we're getting 137 damage. So we're even better off than we were before, and that does require gun nut rank 4. So top tier modifications here. So we're expecting endgame potential out of this. We'll have to see how that one goes. And you can increase the frame, or the weight of the frame. Light frame will reduce the weight and the damage, but the heavy frame will do the opposite. Increase the weight and the damage. Does nothing to range, as it turns out, but even more damage for me for a weapon that fires that fast with a pistol cartridge. That sounds pretty good. Now, you can have different triggers, which actually will change how the bullets work, because reasons. The calibrated trigger will give you better critical shot and accuracy. That's nice. The rapid one will increase that fire rate even more, so we're going to throw that one on because recoil is fun, right? There's also armor piercing. If you're doing not as much damage, you want to bypass a little bit of that armor to offset that lower damage. This will cost you a little bit of that good old damage, but maybe against heavily armored targets it might just fare a little bit better. But standard, I think, is good for all the purposes. If you're going to throw nothing on, throw the calibrated one on, because you get a little bit of extra crit damage out of it as well, which potentially is a potent combination for any rotary barrel for using crits, because you get that 10-round burst, you understand. So all of those shots will be criticals under normal circumstances. And you can also use the Creation Club paint to spruce this up a little bit. Now, if you want to use a magazine other than this giant drum magazine, I believe you can actually use the Creation Club paints on those. But there's nothing for the submachine gun on the vanilla game in terms of paint. So if you want to utilize the paint to its full extent, then you throw on a magazine that isn't a drum. But I believe this works pretty well. In fact, look at that. That's lined up perfectly. Riley's range is there. A little bit of a divider there, but that's fantastic. Whether that's intended or not, I'm not sure, but there's a brilliant addition to it. Let's go for... do we have Railroad? I can't believe we don't have Railroad. No, there it is. There we go. You see, because Alla's Railroad aligned, but, you know, she doesn't like Sinsol that much. She knows the truth, but that's where she received all of her training. The Gatling Pistol is craftable under the Chemistry Workbench under Utility, but not like normal Utility, in a different Utility slot for some reason. But it requires Gun Nut Rank 1 and Idiot Savant to put together, as well as a laser gun, some components, a pipe gun, a pipe bolt action gun, and a pipe revolver. So, yeah, gather your pipe guns and a laser gun for the chance to owning one of these yourself, or just use console commands. In this 1-2 punch of requested weapon mods, we've also got the nail grenades and pipe bombs, which are quite interesting because you can craft these on their own. They're not the highest, most damaging grenades, but they are cheap in terms of what materials you need to actually craft it. And the neat thing about these is you could actually craft a bundle of these if you get 3 of these bastards. So you can throw like 3 grenades at once, which sort of offsets the lower damage at the cost of some probably range and accuracy when you throw these things. Apparently it's 60 less accurate, 60 accuracy points less using the pipe bomb here. But these can be crafted either by combining 3 that you've got into your inventory into these pipe bombs, or for raw materials, as you see here. And you can even use the pipe bomb bundles to deconstruct them to get all 3 of those pipe bombs back. The same goes for the nail grenades, which are made for targets that aren't armored, so we probably won't be using these all that much, but I guess we'll put a few of these together just to see what they can do, and we'll get started. Welcome back to the killing fields. Here is our Gatling pistol in first person. That's what the reload looks like, by the way. And that fusion cell powering the motors, it does good work. Observe. Absolutely no barrel spin up whatsoever. How awesome is that? Very good. Here's the second one that I made. This one is using the standard tri-barrel, so it's got extra range. It's also got the calibrated trigger for utilizing criticals. And it sounds like that. Pretty simple, straightforward stuff, but let's talk about the grenades, because I've got so many. So we've got the pipe bombs, which look like this. And we've also got the nail grenades, which look like this, right? And then you've also got the bundled version of each. That's a 3-for-1. And same with the nail grenade thing. So if we throw a pipe bomb, it goes like this. You get a basic amount of range out of it. But you'll notice that the fuse is a very long time. It allows enemies to run away from it fairly quickly. The nail grenade, very similar in where you actually look at it, and hopefully none of those nails hit me. No, that's fine. They all missed, but it appears to have a little bit more of a radius there, but we'll have to see how it goes in practicality against our gunner foes. But there's also the bundled versions of those, which, like the Merv, just sort of split into 3 as you throw it. So it's like a 3 projectile throwing. They all go around there, so potentially you could blanket the area with all of those grenades, like as a little bit of an alpha strike, a little bit of a sucker punch before the fight actually begins. So we'll try that. I don't think we've hit anything. We can't physically throw them far enough. We'll go right up here. At least we'll be out of sight. And we're in danger. Okay, there we go. There's some damage, but they're throwing grenades back. Okay, I think we've actually managed to get some kills with these. Now, one of the tactics you might want to consider while we're using this thing, wow, that shreds them. Okay, is throwing the grenades in the air and then critting them so they blow up. It didn't work on this occasion. In fact, I wasted the critical. So the pipe bombs not particularly effective, so we'll go for the nail grenades, perhaps. They might be our saving grace. And I say not that effective, they immediately go and kill like 3 gunners in a row. Let's try this. Oh, that bleeding effect. That's something they didn't mention, but yeah, they get a bleeding effect, which I believe is a little bit more hefty compared to your... And stop shooting at me, will ya? A little bit more hefty compared to your standard grenades or your standard wounding from for your legendary effects. I think it's 50 instead of 25, which is nice. Also, I think the explosion radius is so much bigger as they scramble for cover. Yeah, it's so much bigger, but I think the fuse there is the only thing that screws it over. Not that we need to be relying on these grenades. Did you just throw one at me? I think they did. I didn't know that was injected into level this. The weapon certainly isn't. This is a weapon from all the way back in 2020. And you can tell that the 6 Messages craftsperson shit has definitely improved over time. Alright, how about we use the tri-barrel version. There's a gunner private. Not anymore. That's 421 before we even think about getting multiple shots on. This is going to be a huge gun foo streak. Watch this. This is going to be awesome. I will remind you again that this is a 10-round burst, and they're all criticals, which means a whole lot of damage. So much so that we've gone straight from Nerd Rage into full health because we leveled up. We killed gunners so easily that we did the level up, and now we don't have to worry about... We're under no sorts of pressure at all to stay alive, which means we can go up and do that. Just shreds them. Potentially overpowered, yes, but a fun weapon, and just a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be getting years later. Which, yeah, although you know this is not the best work that we've ever got, it certainly gives you a nice idea of just how much we've advanced in terms of our mod creations over the years, and as a foundation for the creativity, you can definitely see that there's a strong foundation here, which I love. The balance is a little bit off, as you can tell, but you know, mods that tend to be this old don't get any updates unless like the modders are like really, like they're really pedantic about it, or a little bit more
yes,
I don't know, like attention to detail sort of thing. Have these. I'd just like to point out that they had plenty of time to run out of the room before those exploded, but they chose to tank that, and they did that pretty well. But yeah, like as modders sort of evolve and become better, mods like this serve as a reminder of how far they've come. Which is not to say that this mod is bad. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but we're definitely pulling the overpowered button on this one. And personally, I think we've seen a lot better come from 6 Messenger and other fellas that do the NIF bashing sort of mod guns in the future, at least for when this weapon was sort of released. But, you know, it's good. I like it. And, of course, it works with classic holstered weapons. If you're wondering what the paint job is on this one, it's actually the Enclave paint. You got the black paint with the red stripes there. It's very aesthetically pleasing. If only it actually overrid the material on the fusion cell, I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know if that'll interfere with the reload animations at all, since it's technically the magazine, but maybe that might be a thing that we could see later on, like a unique laser gun or something using a custom texture on the micro fusion cells, or the fusion cells as they are. I think that'd be cool. So for the next trick, I'm going to shoot Swan until he dies, and hopefully we don't run out of ammo. But we're going to start off with a little bit of sneak crittery, because why not? We'll even add some criticals in the mix, just because that 10-round burst does still apply in slow-mo. And we're still not in danger yet, despite everything. Okay, now it is time. We can sort of lock onto his face there, and maybe we'll throw the grenades. Cop that. Wonder if his AI is designed to avoid those grenades. Dunno. Hey, that's a nice stagger. That's useful. Actually, I gotta be careful throwing those grenades, because I feel like his rock throws might actually prematurely detonate those things before they're on their way, so maybe I gotta watch that. But a target of this size and this amount of health, you'll find that you can stack the bleeding damage on, and it will stack up. You probably can't even see it on the actual health bar that he's got because it's so massive. But, you know, it's there. It'll stack up over time. It's not too bad. And there we go. Job done. Okay, let's put away this super speedy one, and maybe we'll use the next fight. We'll try to use some criticals or something. I don't expect the sneak crits to last as long this time, simply because this guy moves a lot faster. But we'll start off with by just smashing crits into his face from back here. Okay, so if the point wasn't flogged home about this thing being overpowered, well, I did that with like a bunch of 45 ACPs. Now, if you're going to load that into a combat rifle, you will not see nearly as effective amount of the damage there. I'm aware there's gunners over there, but I kind of don't care. I've got bigger fish to fry. Literally. I think it'd be a little bit remiss of me not to do this. What's this? Well, you'll know it when it happens. I'll tell you that much. Explosive! Frame rate droppy goodness. Okay, I think you get the point. So that there was the Gatling Pistol. And I won't give this a rating of whether it's actually worth downloading or not. You've made those own conclusions if you watch this already, but link will be in the description if you are interested. But I just like to take this moment to just to realize how far we've come in terms of Nif Bash mods over these last couple of years. I mean, I'm not slagging this weapon mod off or anything. I still think it's very enjoyable, and it does what it set out to do pretty well, with the obvious caveat of having the numbers a little bit stooped too much in favor for the player's power. But throughout the years, we've been getting better and better mods out of the Six Messenger and the other gang over there that repurpose and reutilize vanilla assets to bring something new, forge something new out of what is already there, which I always appreciate the creativity of that. But we've gotten so much better over that over the years, and I just like to take the time to appreciate that. And a big thanks to all the modders out there that work hard and work on their craft and improve and are able to bring us better and better mods every time. So again, if you want this weapon, link in the description. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Also, we'll be providing a link to these grenades, which I thought were pretty neat. A little bit more balanced. The fuse on these things, I think, makes it a little bit of a deal breaker. You'd much rather just use frag grenades, simply because, well, you throw them and your enemies are going to get caught in the blast radius, provided your throw is a good 90% of the time. Whereas these ones, they just sort of scoot away and they're safe. So perhaps a little bit more of an early game use, where you can actually catch those guys that are lower health to actually kill them in a single blow. But an early game grenade with a overpowered late game Gatling pistol, it's kind of a weird juxtaposition, but link will be in the description provided for both weapons. Go and find them if you want them. Thank you very much for watching, guys.